Hello, Amanda Dunas here from the Positive Thinking Clinic. Quite often, individuals come in complaining that they're always ruminating or they can't switch off the overthinking and overanalyzing. And so I've created a short resource so that I can provide you with some tips on eliminating rumination. I've made it into a very friendly resource, and I ask you to think of yourself as a house. And inside your house is a number of rooms. And each room contains your thoughts. And each time the doors remain open, your thoughts fly around. And this is called rumination. And they keep going round and round, and you overanalyze, and then you replay the same thoughts and you analyze again, and you just can't switch it off, or you just can't close the doors and compartmentalize each thought one at a time. And so I've decided to describe it in a way that we can start closing doors to different types of rooms in your house. Now, rumination is rethinking situations, analyzing situations, and replaying situations. And whilst it's okay to do these three things for a short time and for a very good reason, what happens is some people tend to find it difficult to switch off and move on, or switch off and then think of or do something different, or to stop that pattern of overthinking and overanalyzing and rethinking and going over everything. And then they can't wind down and get themselves ready and settled for sleep. So I've broken up some tips, and these tips are designed just to interrupt your patterns when you catch yourself doing this. And I'm doing it in terms of rooms in your house. And so let's say now you go into room 1 and you discover that you may be replaying the same story over and over again in your head. So what can you do? Notice it and recognize the pattern so that you can hop on a different track. Once this occurs and you notice, just say to yourself, okay, I'm going to think of a brand new topic or some different topic and focus on that. So you are using your will and your determination to notice, oh, I'm doing something. So instead, I'm going to focus on making dinner or making plans for something else. So there you go. You've interrupted that pattern. Let's say you move into another room and you find that you keep analyzing situations and stories over and over. Now, what kind of distraction would be useful in this situation so that you can break the pattern? Creativity is a wonderful way to break that boring pattern of doing the same thing over and over. You can go for a run, you can play a really great song, you could do some kind of exercise, you can watch a movie, you can get on one of your favorite apps, you can paint a picture, you can color in, you can play with Play-Doh, you can do absolutely, you can go gardening. The whole point is you want to distract yourself because you're finding that you're just not even noticing what you're currently doing, but you're analyzing situations and stories over and over. And this is not a healthy practice. Another room where you could be ruminating in your own mind and body, keep thinking of the same thoughts over and over. I'm going to say, stop fighting your thoughts. Say to yourself, haven't you fought enough? How about stop judging your thoughts and instead become curious about your thoughts? Notice that your mind has become a tape recording on rewind, and you can become accepting of that for the moment so that you can decide your next move. So basically, same thought going over and over and over. What you think you may need to do is fight the thought. But I don't know if you've heard that wonderful saying of that which you resist will persist. So instead of trying to fight, give up on the fight, give up on the judgment, just become curious And then you can decide to find yourself out of that loop and do something different. So another room where you could be ruminating in, where you keep going over the same details, the same details. Well, allow yourself to be up for a challenge. Pretend that your ruminating and your overanalyzing self is actually your best friend for a moment, behaving this way. So how would you help your friend to break apart, break away from this pattern? You can point out what is unrealistic in this behavior, and you can suggest to your best friend, which is to your best self, focus more on other positive things. And if they're not positive things, focus on other neutral things instead. So then we come out to another room where it can be on feeling exhausted about all the thinking. And really, that's a very common sentence I hear. I'm so exhausted about just thinking over the same thing over and over. It's just exhausting. So consider breaking that pattern again, because it's all about interrupting the rumination by doing something different. So in this situation, use a journal, write out your rumination. But the key is to also create a conclusion so that you can feel a sense of end to that rumination for that moment and for that particular topic. Then go straight away and focus on something else. Another rumination room where you keep thinking and judging your thoughts and situations. Well, could you chat with somebody about it? But I'd like to say, pick the person that's appropriate so that you can ask them to help you to stop ruminating, because you don't want to pick someone who's going to encourage you and join in on the rumination. So their role is to gain a new perspective and to lead it away from rumination and to a new focus. So if you do have a good, reliable friend, you could say, look, I find I'm ruminating, and can you just help me snap out of this pattern that I'm in? Sometimes giving the other person instructions on what they need to do so that they can be helpful, then that can be useful. Another room for rumination is where you can be stuck with the same feeling of rumination. So, being stuck with the same feeling of rumination, add new emotions. Do it by engaging in new behaviors. Quite often, new behaviors then produce new emotions. Instead of waiting for new emotions to arise so that you can behave differently, do it in that order. Behave differently or engage in new behaviors, and then you'll discover new emotions arise from this. For example, watch a funny movie, read some jokes, draw funny pictures, or do anything amusing like that. That interrupts the pattern and adds new emotions. So when you notice your mood is lifted, you may think of your rumination in a more lighthearted way, and then you may not feel so negative about it or emotionally drained, and you can find a way to actually move away from that and focus on something else. Another room for rumination where you may find yourself in this room are your thoughts, all that you see, hear, and feel. And that's a stuck pattern. So I'm going to say, create a new relationship with your thoughts. Try mindfulness of some kind. Perhaps meditation would work for you. You can do this alone. You can do this through an audio recording, even through one of your favorite YouTubes or an app. There's many apps that do some sort of mindfulness or meditations. After you've quietened your mind, you can then focus on other tasks and other thoughts. Another room which may contain your style of rumination is thinking and getting nowhere. So you're thinking about the same thing, but it's not giving you a solution, or it's not giving you a different pathway. So in effect, you're actually getting nowhere. What can you do about this? See yourself driving around in circles and leading nowhere. That's another way to think about it. Once you notice that it's the same thing over and over, change your course of direction and focus on something new, just like you're going around the same roundabout. until you decide to exit the roundabout. Let the new focus be exciting, let it be fun, let it be interesting, and let it have nothing to do with what you were just thinking about. Another room you can get trapped in for rumination is ruminating absolutely all day long or most of the day. So what can you do? Allow yourself to have time for rumination. That's right. It's allocating time where you can give yourself permission and a start and an end time to ruminate. So the reason why we have a start time and an end time is so that you can contain it and so that most of your day can be as free as possible doing other things and focusing on other activities. You're in charge. Allocate yourself 10 minutes, 20 minutes, 30 minutes. You decide. I mean, if you're a very big ruminator, allow yourself half an hour to ruminate about everything. But the thing is, when you get interrupted during the day, during your usual day with some rumination, you can actually say to yourself, oh, I don't need to worry about this till, for example, 8 p.m. because that's when I'm going to sit there and do all my rumination. So you're containing it. Now, this may sound strange to the person who doesn't ruminate, but it's actually very useful for the person who does ruminate because they can say, I'm not going to sit and go over what I go over every single day anymore, all day. I'm going to save it till 8 o'clock and I'm going to end it at 8:15 or 8:20. So once you have that rule in place and some rumination sneaks up on you during the day, you can say, no, this isn't time for that. I'm going to get on with what I'm doing and I can ruminate about that tonight. So then you just always make sure you're doing something different and something away from your rumination as best as you possibly can throughout the day, because throughout the day is not your rumination time. So I've just described 10 different, very minor, very small, however, very useful techniques, because let's think about it. If you ask somebody who does ruminate, who has successfully moved away from the rumination, and you say to them, so what do you do to stop ruminating? They will actually say to you one of these 10 techniques that I've actually just outlined. Now, I've got a PDF on this. If you want to get in contact with me, you can email me on amanda@positivethinkingclinic.com.au and I will email you the PDF. I've laid it out in a table format with 10 rooms and they're the 10 different styles of rumination, and there may be 20 different styles of rumination, or for you maybe 5 different styles, but it's knowledge, it's awareness, it's handy tips, and it's actually so simple to read, to follow, to try and practice, yet the rumination that people engage in can feel so difficult that they believe that the answer to stop ruminating will also be difficult. So give it a try. Simple 5-second tips and techniques just to break and interrupt patterns. That's all you need to do. I hope you found this useful. My name is Amanda Dunas and I'm from the Positive Thinking Clinic. Thank you.